We are joined in studio by Jen Rogers, Wild Winds Brewery. Excited for this one. We got a live body in the studio again. Nice to see you, Jen. Chief Awesome Officer, Brewer, and Certified Cicerone. I read it as Chicharron earlier, and I was like, oh, she's but welcome to the studio and the show, and tell us a little bit about Wild Winds Brewery, if you will.
So Wild Winds Brewery, I'm currently contract brewing out of another brewery that I work out of in Calgary. We just signed a lease for a space in Bridgeland in Calgary. I haven't posted on social yet, just because until we have those permits, I just don't want people to get really excited. But basically, Wild Winds Brewery right now is just myself and my husband. So you've got my title. He's the chief miscellaneous officer. He kind of just helps out. I always kind of say, think of office space. What do you do here? Yeah. That's him. Is this working? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And get right up to the, yeah, don't be shy.
But yeah, we kind of came up with the name Wild Winds because my husband and I are from St. John's, Newfoundland.
Oh, okay.
So it's the windiest place in all of Canada. They were kind of thinking the Lethbridge area originally when we were going to set up. That's the windiest area in all of Alberta. Mm-hmm. And then Calgary is currently where we reside, and that is the largest, windiest city in Canada. So hence the wild winds kind of just follow us wherever we go.
I like it because we have somebody in the studio here who is from kind of the Lethbridge area and proclaims that it's the windiest place in the universe. So I'm glad that you kind of a bit of a dueling winds here, if you will. But you mentioned Newfoundland, I guess. Where did the idea of this all kind of come from? Was this? We hear about so many people's backstories. I was doing this 9-to-5 job, and then I like beer, so I started brewing.
I feel like you've nailed it.
Okay, perfect. You fill in the blanks there.
Yeah, no worries. So my husband and I, Tim, were sitting on our patio one day. And we were just we're just so tired of the corporate grind. What can we do with our lives? We were like, let's start our own business. And both Tim and I have kinesiology and physical education backgrounds.
Okay.
So he was like, let's start a gym. I'm like, ew, boring. No, let's not do that. Let's go the opposite spectrum. Let's produce beer. So anyways, neither one of us knew actually how to brew beer. We like to consume it. But so we kind of did some research into what were the options for learning how to brew beer. And then the Old College Brewmaster program kind of popped up. Yep. And of course, there was Niagara at the time, but that's a little bit far. So I enrolled into we both did actually, enrolled into the Old College Brewmaster program. We both got in. It was a matter of then deciding who was going to pursue the education. It was decided that I would. Okay, so yeah. I went to school.
He gets the miscellaneous. You get the education.
He gets to stick to the 9-to-5 corporate grind. So yeah, I enrolled in the Old College Brewmaster program, graduated with distinction in 2019. And I've been working in the industry ever since. Yeah,
I've heard of that Olds program mentioned a few times with this segment and people going through and taking that and being where they are now. But no, Jen Rogers, once again, Wild Winds Brewery. You mentioned you brought in only 5 beers today.
Only 5.
Let's get cracking into them here. What are we looking at? What in terms of kind of the flavor profile? I know some brewers like to kind of knock it down the line, much like a flight, have this one before the next. But what can you tell us about the beers today and the special going on with Sobeys Liquor?
So the first beer that we're actually going to taste is the Sobeys Liquor beer feature of the week. It is our German Munich Helles Lager. It is the Föhn. So very easy drinking, very approachable beer. So my brother-in-law listens to your guys' show.
Okay.
I brew this beer for him. He is a kokanee-loving, Bud Light drinking beer consumer. So I was like, you know what? If I can get my brother-in-law, Chris, to drink this beer, then I'm doing something right. So this is why I brewed this one. And to vouch for it, he does enjoy it as well.
Okay.
So the Föhn is based, so the reason, all of our beer names are kind of something to do with the wind. Hence, kind of tying in with our brand. So the Föhn is basically a German Chinook off the Alps. So that gusty wind, that kind of warm wind that comes off the leeward slopes. Mm-hmm. So this is our German Munich Helles Lager. It's typically brewed with all German malt. We brewed ours with all Alberta malt. So very smooth, very easy drinking, super crushable. You'll get a light floral, fruity citrus notes on the nose coming from the German hops. There's clean German lager yeast. And this beer is coming in at 5%.
Love it. So this is just a regular crushable beer.
Totes my goats.
Gage spent a few years in Germany as well. Probably experienced this breeze, hey? Yeah. And it says here, your website, again, wildwindsbrewery.ca/beer. You can go on there. Wow, we aren't playing around today. But yes, you're saying the pairing goes good with pizza, just whatever you want to eat. I mean, this is just a regular, everyday kind of beer.
Yep.
Well,
cheers.
Cheers to Wild Winds.
Sorry for the hefty pour.
When you set it up like you did, it doesn't matter about the hefty pork. 'Cause it's such a drinkable,
It is.
not sour or
Auf
anything
Deutsch,
like
das
that.
ist unglaublich.
Ja.
Sehr schön Arbeit.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Danke,
you.
bitte. You were doing something this too, charitable acts I saw with this beer as well.
Yeah, so this beer, we donated portions of one of our batches back to Adaptable Outdoors. That kind of holds a piece in both Tim and I's hearts, in the fact that we've done adaptable physical education through our university degrees. Anyways, they're based out of Pincher Creek, and I volunteered one day to actually go on an adaptable hike with them, and it was absolutely enjoyable to see what they're doing to help people with. Basically, it's putting the ability back into activity so that it is open to anybody to participate.
Drinking beer for a good cause is always
Yeah,
a plus.
exactly.
It's a lot easier to get them down.
Yeah.
Down the candy lineup here. What's next?
Next is our Belgian Blonde.
Okay.
So this one's a little bit higher on the ABV, so I won't pour as much.
7% I'm looking at here.
It is 7%. So this one you're gonna get notes. I'm sorry, I'm just like
no,
you're so
no,
used to like filling up a glass.
What's a big pour?
Sorry.
I said only 5, and now she's taking us there.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry.
Alright,
I'm just so used to
Friday.
pouring in all the glass.
Yeah.
So this is our Belgian Blonde. This one you're gonna get notes of lemon, orange zest, baking spice. I find the honey characteristics quite prominent. There's no honey added. It's just coming from the malt and the Belgian candy
Oh, so you
syrup.
create that on its own.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
that's neat.
Very smooth, very easy drinking, and honestly dangerously crushable for 7%.
And a medal winner as well, an award winner.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate. All of our beers have won awards to date. This one is actually a Canada Beer Cup Gold winner for Belgian Blonde. So, yeah.
Well, to the win.
Yeah.
To the win for the Belgian blonde.
And once again, sorry for the hefty pour. I'll do better on the next one.
But you are right for 7%.
Dangerously crushable. Yeah.
Definitely
Pretty smooth.
tastes like a Belgian beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well done.
Thank you.
All right, down the line we go.
So next we've got our Zephyr, also a Belgian beer. So this is our table saison. So saison is French for season. This beer used to be brewed by farmers as a table beer, just so that this one's low ABV, so don't worry. A table beer when they were doing harvest, so they weren't intoxicated when they go out to harvest. So this one you're gonna get notes of lemon, apple, pear. I find the cracked pepper quite prominent. As the beer warms, you'll get more of those fruity esters. Hint of baking spice. Highly effervescent, almost champagne-like. Finish is quite dry. Yeah.
And this is paired with more of a lighter food I'm reading here, like a seafood sushi.
Yep.
Maybe a vegetarian type of dish or something, prawns, that
Yep.
type of stuff.
Yep.
So a bit of a more to beat the heat. You're looking at
Yes.
maybe a lighter meal and a lighter beer in a
Yep,
sense. So
100%.
What made you kind of pick to brew these types of beers?
So the fun actually. So when I was doing my certified Cicerone exam, so you have to, like, one of the parts of it is kind of tasting all the different styles of beers, kind of determining differentiating between the styles. My husband and I took a trip to Germany, and I absolutely fell in love with this style. Like I absolutely love it. And then we've gone to Belgium as well, and I love everything about Belgian style beers and those yeast characteristics. I know they're not for everybody, but selfishly, I absolutely love them.
yeah.
And as for a dark beer, I knew I definitely wanted to have one in the lineup. I love a stout. I was debating between stout and porter, but I selfishly love a stout.
Yes.
And I feel like you always have to have, like, an IPA. And so we went with the New England IPA. I feel it's a little bit more of an approachable IPA style versus something that's more on the heavy bitter side of things. So
Well, let's cheers to the Zephyr, and also bronze winner 23, and Alberta Beer bronze winner, and an Alberta Beverage Awards best in class 23. I'm seeing here for the
Yes.
Zephyr. So
Here's to
Cheers
Trev's
to
date.
oh yeah.
Oh,
I know not like everybody's into, like, saisons are, like, I always find, like, it's not for everybody. I selfishly do love them. Like, that yeast characteristic is so interesting of what it does to the final product.
And I just think too with the heat now too is what I feel too. Even having like just a regular lager sometimes is a little like but this with the food and everything and the heat going on, real smooth, real love it.
I think they're all great summer beers.
Yeah.
Selfishly, I love dark beers all year round, so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
could drink a stout any time of year, but I
Let's-
know I'm not everybody.
Let's get into this one here.
Yeah, so this is our Irish stout, so it's called the Snow Eater. The story behind that one was that in January 10th, 1962, Pincher Creek has...
Trav, listening?
I'm from
Your
Pincher.
history here.
This is cool.
Pincher Creek had experienced a Chinook. It holds a national record for the highest temperature change in 1 hour. It went from minus 19 to plus 22 degrees Celsius.
What?
So the beer color I targeted for 41 SRM to indicate that temperature swing. So SRM is standard reference method. It's basically the way that we measure the color of beer or wort. So this one, you're going to get notes of chocolate, coffee, roast, medium light-bodied, smooth mouthfeel, finishes a touch on the dry side. Once again, I personally think it's an easy drinking beer. And this one won a silver medal at the Alberta Beer Awards last year for stout.
Listing off like the ingredients and the makeup, that's the love language to me with the stout. Like you hit them all there. The chocolates, all that, like that's where I'm at. The coffee and everything.
Yeah.
I'm excited for this one. Cheers to the stout.
And I'm really failing on the pours, guys. I'm really sorry. I just want to pour
There's
it
no
the whole
fail.
kit.
Failing. What are you talking about?
They like it like that.
Okay, cool.
This is... Yeah, I love stouts, and they all provide, you can have coffee, but all to a different kind of degree, right?
Yeah.
Some more pronounced than others, but this is a real nice one, Gage.
Thank you.
All of them are very sophisticated beers, I find.
Thank you so much.
I always rate them as lawnmower.
Yes. Yep.
But yours almost, I wouldn't waste them doing lawnmowers.
That's after the yard work. You
this
kind
is
of...
where I would go in and sit down and really, either I'm doing like watching something where I'm real or eating something a little bit more sophisticated, I guess, and having one of these with it. You guys have hit it out of the park with
Thank
this.
you so much.
I'm shocked because when you mentioned you made a Budweiser for your family.
I didn't know where that was going.
I was like, what are we drinking here? So, and these are completely different. I've had this one before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the rest, I'm really, really enthusiastic about picking some of these.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that.
If you want to pick some up yourself, we'll start the contest right now. We have one more beer to go here with Jen Rogers, Wild Winds Brewery. Text in 780-218-9999, Beer Me, and $50 on the line to Sobeys and Safeway Liquor. Beer Me, 780-218-9999. We'll put all the entries into a hat and pick a lucky winner. $50 to Sobeys and Safeway Liquor. The finale here.
So, last but not least, the reason we do the tasting in the order that we do, it is based on the bitterness of the beer. So, the New England IPA is going to be the most bitter of all of them.
It's really good.
This is
honestly,
the biggest flight I've ever been on here. Like, the glasses, the pours. I'm like, you're taking like a jumbo jet here.
And you guys can have the beer left over for once you're finished your segment. So yay, Friday. So this is our New England IPA. So we call this Wind Warning. We are Wild Winds. And once again, this is kind of the story as to why we came up with the name. So in November 11th, 2011.
Yep.
Basically, Southern Calgary was hit with one of some of the windiest winds that they've ever experienced. I think in Pincher Creek, it reached 204 kilometers an hour. I remember being in Calgary where the Husky building, everything was falling down, the windows were crashing. It was crazy. So that's why we named the beer the Wind Warning, and people do get a kick out of it. But this one, it's our newest batch. I changed it up a little bit. So this one, you're gonna get some malt characteristic. It is hop forward, but the malt characteristic is not absent. You're going to get that smooth body that's coming from the malt. So there's oats and wheat in there to create that smooth characteristic. The hops we use in this one are Galaxy. So those ones you're gonna get notes of tropical fruit, passion fruit, citrus, and guava. The Enigma hops are known for their raspberries, red currants, and a little bit of hint of Pinot Grigio grapes. And then the HBC 630 is a new addition to this batch. So this one you're going to get more red berries, currants, cherry characteristics, candy-like esters, some lactone, some peach, some banana, really just adding to that that hop characteristic. So honestly, this one's coming in at 6.5%. I find the hop characteristic is very prominent, but it has a nice malt backbone to support it.
Encyclopedic knowledge of your beers, and again, I just riffing here. Wildwindsbrewery.ca. You can check them out online. Great write-ups on each of these beers. I've been following along. It's almost like a test. You're reading it. I'm like, yep, that's right. 204. Yeah, that's right. You got it all. But if you want to know like what pairs with these, they've laid out a very good description of each beer and kind of really, this one, charred meats, caramelized vegetables. Like you're really going deep with what. And I think at this stage of the game with craft brewing and everything, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
It's easy to say, oh, this goes good with meat or this goes good with whatever. But you're really kind of getting down to the details, and that doesn't go unnoticed. So cheers to the Niaipa. And this was also, I'm reading here too, a good as well with the donations and everything, kind of drinking beer for a good cause in this one.
Yeah, so we've done a couple of versions of the Wind Warning. This is our third rendition. The first one I did, I'm a Pink Boots Canada board member.
Okay.
So Pink Boots Society, so the first batch I did was using the Pink Boots hops. So they do a different blend every year, and $3 per pound per bag goes back to the Pink Boots Society, as well as we donated $850 from that batch back to the Pink Boots Society. So Pink Boots is a nonprofit organization that encourages, inspires women and non-binary folk in the fermented alcohol beverage industry. I was a very lucky recipient last year to win a scholarship to Yakima for Hop and Brew School.
Oh, wow.
So
Yakima, cool.
I love it. I'm a huge advocate for Pink Boots. So yeah.
This is great.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I had it before and I couldn't find it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was upset.
Sobeys.
Yeah, now it's good.
No, we've stuck the landing today with this,
this is
only
crazy.
5 beer lineup, as we said. But making up for it, I think we've had about a
This is
good pack.
about just as good as a Don't Air at 3:30 in the morning on George Street.
Yes. Oh my
you know,
God.
you know.
I do know. Some fish, some fries dressing your gravy doesn't hurt either.
Jen Rogers, we appreciate your time. Thank you
so
for
much.
coming in
Thank
and
you.
joining us. Again, encyclopedic knowledge. Give them some love. Wild Winds Brewery. Anything you want to hawk for the brewery right now? I know you guys have a great website. You got a shop, which is awesome too. Any food, that type of thing, where people visiting or anything that you can. This is your time.
Yeah,
Go.
so right, like I said, right now we're contract brewing, so you can find our beer across stores in Alberta. If you don't, you can always just ask your favorite liquor store to bring us in. Until we have our brick and mortar facility, which will hopefully be by next spring in Bridgeland, Calgary. Please do come by and visit us. We will have a tap room space. Kitchen is in the plan, but we'll see how everything goes out of the gates. The plan is to have a small 5-barrel system where I just kind of brew and experiment and just pump that out of the tap room.
And the husband does the miscellaneous again, right?
That is right.
Wild Winds Brewery, they're on Facebook, Instagram, all over the internet, as you mentioned, not the brick and mortar, but that's to come. Check them out online, support them. Great descriptions for each and every beer, very informative, and we appreciate the knowledge coming in today. Thank you so much, Jen.
Thank you so much for having me.